We're live. Oh my God, I can feel it. Can feel it, like kind of right here, right in my neck. That's where Mariel was rubbing the other day. I don't think she did good. I think she needs to get the other side now to balance it out. She messed me all up. Anyway, welcome to today's Power Project, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to talk about the most important ingredient that is missing from most people's diet, and that is self-control. Without self-control, we can't really get on any diet. The ultimate diet, the best diet that's out there, is the diet that you can stick to. However, I think having a blanket statement and saying we're all different and that we should have a balanced diet, and what are some other things I hear people saying? Um, What's your cholesterol like, bro? Yeah, people say it all the time.
Gotta control the sodium.
Yeah, just I don't know. People with the thing that people say all the time about we're all different is it's kind of asinine in my opinion, because yes, we are all different. We do have different genetic makeup, and one person's going to get different results from doing 100 push-ups every day than the next. But we're all relatively similar in a lot of ways too. And when it comes to diet, the most important thing is not necessarily what we're eating, when we're eating it, how many calories it has, how much salt is in it, how much protein is in it, all the different macros, like all these things, they do matter. They do add up to something at the end of the day. But the most important thing is that we show some sort of control. How do we gain control of our diet? In my opinion, the best way, the fastest way, the strongest way is through the use of a ketogenic style diet and through the use of intermittent fasting. Maybe you can even make an argument, something like the carnivore diet, but the carnivore diet is so strict and so limiting that it might be too big of a jump for most people, and they might get negative feedback. Part of what I've created here at Slingshot, and part of what I've always been trying to create, part of the reason why we show you so many videos, part of the reasons why I have more videos on YouTube than anybody in the fitness industry, is because I've been wanting to show you guys that powerlifting is cool and it's fun. I've been trying to have a low barrier of entry into the sport. I've been trying to show people. I've been trying to allow people to feel about powerlifting the way that I feel about powerlifting. I've been trying to show people powerlifting as I know it and why it gets me so excited, why it gets me so fired up. And in making this company, Slingshot, I'm trying to make lifting more comfortable. That's what the knee sleeves are for. That's what the slingshots are for. That's what the gangster wraps are for. That's what all these different products are for. The Reebok powerlifting shoe and so on. It's to make the lifting easier. It's to make it less painful. And that is something that we need to try to manage. We need to try to manage our stress throughout the day. We need to try to manage our pain. We need to try to make sure that we are not falling victim to these cravings. And so let me explain how the war on carbs works. I've explained it many times before, but I think it's important that I go over it and explain why I feel that this diet works the best and why it works the best for me. When it comes to different people, I'll say this. Different people may like different diets. That's a lot different than what physically happens inside of your body. My brother will kind of swear up and down that he doesn't respond well to eating carbs, but I would have to call him out on that and say that he's never tried. And I'd have to say that he's never honestly tried a bodybuilding style diet before, because when I tried a bodybuilding style diet, that resulted in me taking some of the best photos I've ever taken before for that BSN shoot years ago. And even on a more recent shoot that I did, I carved up for that photo shoot to get a little bit bigger and to get a little bit more of an advantage. So I don't think that we're so different physically. I think that what it boils down to is mentally. What do we want to eat? And how are we going to be able to control that? How are we going to be able to manage that? So if you're somebody that likes glucose, if you're somebody that likes sugar, if somebody likes carbs, let's break this down for a second. All carbohydrates turn into sugar. All carbohydrates turn into sugar when they're in your body. They all turn into glucose at some point. And so when we're talking about carbs, we ultimately are talking, when we're talking about it inside your body, that's what happens to it. It turns into glucose. I don't want to get too sciencey because I'll probably say a lot of the wrong things, and maybe I already have, but I'm just trying to give you the very basics of it. So when our body runs on carbohydrates, and we run on carbohydrates for years, if we abuse eating carbohydrates, what will happen a lot of times, our insulin levels will jack up. Now, the insulin is not a problem. Insulin is not bad. Insulin is actually great. Insulin's actually good. Insulin is supposed to help those carbohydrates get into the right cells. What can happen over time is when we take in too many carbs too often, the insulin levels your body will produce more insulin and your body will become insulin resistant. So it will take more insulin to have a similar result. Not most Americans, but over 120 million Americans are insulin resistant. That's just what we know. How many more are suffering from insulin resistance that we don't know? Insulin resistance is a precursor to diabetes. Again, I'm not a doctor, so if I'm a little bit off on some of the wording of this, I apologize, but this is the basic story of it to help you understand what it is I'm about to describe. When your body becomes insulin resistant and you continue to eat carbohydrates, then those carbohydrates will start to get stored as fat. And it might take a long time. You might have insulin resistance for a really long time before you become obese. Not everybody that's obese has diabetes, and not everybody, and there's a lot of people that are very thin actually that develop diabetes, or develop even they end up in a pre-diabetic state, which happens pretty often. Now, usually over time, when they're pre-diabetic, they're not only in danger of various health problems, but they're also in danger of gaining more weight. So weight gain is not always the most detrimental thing that can happen to you in terms of your health. Especially if you just gained a couple pounds and you're young, it's not a huge deal. It can become a big deal, and it's good to be aware. And that's what I'm trying to teach people, is to be mindful. It's important to be mindful of what the fuck's going on. Interestingly enough, women, for some reason, they are less impacted by obesity than men are. Maybe there's something hormonal going on, but men who are obese are oftentimes going to have problems much faster than females will. And men oftentimes will have heart problems much faster than females will. Why that is exactly, I'm not 100% sure, but they're able to hold more body fat than men. Typically, women's body fat percentages will also just generally be a little bit higher. That's just the way nature has set things up to be. But the greatest power that you're ever going to be able to earn, and the greatest thing you're ever going to be able to understand about a diet, is to have self-control. And it's the greatest thing that you can ever do for yourself in terms of business, greatest thing you can ever do for yourself in terms of relationships. It's the greatest thing you can ever do for yourself, period, is to work on your self-control, to work on your willpower, to work on your habits. We work on our willpower and we work on these things through our habits, to the point where we have habits that are so strong that they become part of us. They become part of what we do on a daily basis. And so when someone orders tater tots or somebody orders French fries with cheese on them, we can think to ourselves, you know what? I'm going to rely on my willpower on this, and I'm not going to go down that road. Now, when you have self-control, you could say, you know what? I've been doing really good. I lost 25 pounds. I'm going to make a decision to eat a little bit more. I'm going to ask that person if we can share that plate of fries. I'm going to ask that person if we can. You make some sort of compromise, and you make something to try to satisfy some of these urges that are coming on. But here's my biggest problem with most of the diets that are being perpetuated. Most of the people that talk about diet in this industry are not fat, and they've never fucking been fat. And so I think that when they've never been fat before, they don't have a good place of credibility to stand from. They don't have the same experience. If you haven't been like, my entire family is fat. I got one guy in my family who's not fat, and that's my Uncle John. It's because he's a fucking triathlete. everyone else, due to many bad dietary habits and also due to heredity, I guess you'd say, everyone's short and everyone's fat. And when you see that, and you see that, people are reaching for Oreos, and you see people are reaching for these things, you scratch your head and you kind of think to yourself, in some ways, you're like, man, they're already fat. What the fuck are they doing? I can't really watch this anymore. Like, what is going on? Why? They just ate a bad meal and now they're having dessert, but everybody's happy. I don't what are they doing? They're compromising their health, and all people will say is, oh man, those people are fat and lazy. And that's actually a very lazy statement to make. It's very lazy to cast that onto somebody else, because there's more going on than that. It's not any different than when you see a homeless person on the street. That person's not lazy. Of course, there's some homeless people that probably are extremely fucking lazy. There's some people that have probably dug themselves in a ditch specifically because they're lazy. But homeless people are by most accounts, they usually have mental health problems. So it's when it comes to these kinds of things, there's something much stronger at play here, and what's at play is cravings. These addictions to food, and they're very fucking serious, because when you become insulin resistant, your body's producing insulin through the roof. And what does insulin do? Insulin will make you hungry. When you're hungry, when you're fatigued, when you're behind each and every day, and you have 2, 3, 4 kids, and you got bills and you got fucking stress, what are you going to reach for a piece of food? You're not going to reach for a fucking chicken breast. You're not going to take the time to cook yourself a healthy meal. You're going to roll through fucking McDonald's. You're going to roll through Burger King. You're going to have a burrito at lunch, and you're going to make a bad decision. And you're going to do that over and over and over again, and to the point where it's going to compromise your health. One day someone's going to look at you and they're going to say, that motherfucker right there is fat and lazy. And meanwhile, all you've been trying to do is bust your ass for your family. All you've been trying to do is work your tail off so that you can make enough money to pay the car payments, to maybe get your son, who's going to have a driver's license soon. You are doing all these things right, and the one place you're fucking up is with your food. But it's not entirely your fault, because you lost control. It's not entirely your fault because your body's producing a lot of insulin. You're insulin resistant, and you're getting this driving force that's telling you, fucking eat that donut, eat that thing out of convenience, and don't waste your time trying to figure out anything else. You want to chime in, Andrew? Looked like you were getting ready to chime in.
No, I was just giving you a heads up on the time. But we do have one question, especially when it comes to working out, from Maria. How do you fuel a workout if you're going low on carbs?
It becomes priorities. You got to prioritize what it is you're doing at that moment. So if you're going to lose weight, you are going to lose strength. Here at Super Training Gym, we've had many people do this before, but Jessica Smith is going through a process right now where she's getting ready for a powerlifting meet, and we've had her lose a significant amount of weight. I think she's lost over 20 pounds, something like that. 18 pounds, somewhere in that range. Once you start to lose that amount of weight, it can be difficult to keep your strength. But this has been a little bit of a process. It's taken a little bit of time, and actually, more recently, we just reintroduced some carbohydrates because she's going to compete. There's absolutely no reason for her to compete without carbohydrates in her system. It just doesn't make any sense. She's going to use those carbohydrates. She's going to perform better, and hopefully she'll hit some big PRs in this meet, being down 15 more pounds. And then also, she just told me some really cool things. Her legs feel better. She just feels better. She looks better. She feels better. How fucking cool is that? We got some other people in the gym who are starting to flex, who you otherwise would not think would ever flex. That's what a lot of this stuff is about, is to get people to kind of come out of their shell, get people to feel better. But when it comes to your workouts and carbohydrates and things like that, if you're way fatter than you want to be, then you have to make a decision to not be that anymore. And I think it's really important. I think the way that I would look at it, because I'm like a vengeful motherfucker, like I like to just, I like to take things like that and have that in my back pocket, while I'm getting fired up. And anyway, just, try to think about all the people. There's everybody that doesn't think you can do it. Everybody that you know, every single fucking person that you know, they don't think you can do it. And if you're fatter than you think you are, I don't think you should mess around with carbs, because the carbohydrates are going to be what keeps that craving going. You kind of look it up. If you Google like sugar cycle, like there's a whole cyclical thing that happens. But basically, every time that you have sugar, it'll spike your spike your sugar levels in your body, and then they'll dive back down. You lose energy, you get lethargic, and then that pulse hits you again to eat more sugar again. And so, the best way to kill them off is not to eat carbohydrates. You break up that entire process. If you want to compete in powerlifting and you want to be the best that you can be, then maybe you would need to take a break from that low carbohydrate diet or that no carbohydrate diet to perform well in competition, which is only just a couple weeks worth, 6, 8, 12 weeks worth. Don't get fatter during that process. Still eat clean. Maybe follow some of the information from Stan Efferding with the vertical diet. And then when that is over with, then I would resume back to a ketogenic style diet.
How old were you when you first started the ketogenic diet? Because I know it was like during the 90s, but like how old were you?
Wherever that would put me in like 1993 or 94. If I want to say like I was probably like 17.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. You know, and I wasn't like, I was never the fat kid, but I was 240 at around 16 years old. So I was pretty heavy at a pretty young age. I was already into lifting. But I do remember, you know, coming back from like my junior year to my senior year, girls were like, whoa, who's this guy? And I was like, nope, I ain't got nothing to do with any of you. Didn't go to the senior prom or nothing. Fucking gave them all the goddamn Heisman.
Cool. So you've lost 100 pounds in how long did that take you to do?
So the 100 pounds of weight loss, 330 pounds was probably, I will say achieved. 330 pounds was achieved probably in like 20, whenever Stan was like breaking world records, probably like 2013 or 14.
Okay.
And then that takes us, it was probably like over the span of about 4 or 5 years. But more recently, I went from 300 down to 230. And right now I'm like 235, 240.
So, crazy XTI something. Sorry for the horrible screen name. Basically, like, so you lost 100 pounds. How did you do it? Like, did you just diet and do cardio stuff, or did you mix a little bit of everything?
Yeah, let me get back to the ketogenic diet to explain, because this is actually how I did it. I can explain the foods and everything, but you can also buy the book, The War on Carbs. There's also many places online where I've talked about this many times. You can scroll through my Instagram and you can find some of the information for free as well. On Amazon, I think the book's like $20 or something like that. So it's a damn steal. Anyway, the way that I did it was through the usage of a ketogenic diet and intermittent fasting. When you mix those two things together, you get a nice synergy, because fasting helps produce ketones. Ketosis is not anything magical. Ketosis does not allow you to eat more calories, in my opinion. Ketones themselves are not magical. Ketones do not help you burn more fat. Here is what ketones do. Okay, you stop bringing in all that sugar, and you stop having those sugar craving cycles of having your insulin and your blood sugar and go up and down and all these different things, and you feel fatigue and get that pulse to eat some garbage that you're not supposed to eat that's not on the diet. When we cut out carbohydrates, the insulin levels stay sustained, the glucose levels stay sustained, and over a period of time, we start to develop what are called ketones. I'm not going to try to sell you on what other people try to sell you on and say the body prefers ketones over glucose. I think a lot of that's just bullshit. But what I'll tell you is that the ketones will keep you on the diet. So the diet itself perpetuates itself. The diet itself grows upon itself. And it's the easiest fucking diet to follow. I'm telling you guys. I tell you time and time again, it's the easiest diet to follow. Throw some carbs in that motherfucker and you're going to have some problems. The second that you throw a little bit of carbs in there, it's going to make you trail off, and it's going to make you end up off the diet. So it's not a race to try to keep ketones high. You do not need to prick your finger to check ketones. You don't need to pee on a stick. You don't need to do these things. If you wanted to, and if it helps make you more accountable, you can prick your finger, because it is kind of nice to see those readings, because it does tell you that you're following the plan. However, some people don't really register ketones that well, and it can be really fucking frustrating to see that's always 0.3 or it's not registering whatever the hell number you want. The main thing to get obsessed with is the foods that you're putting in your mouth, the foods that you're trying to get yourself used to. And the main thing overall, 100% without a doubt, is working on your self-control. Think about every single time that you eat, you're picking up points on the scoreboard. Every single time that you go for a walk, you're picking up points on the scoreboard. Every single time you hydrate yourself properly, you're picking up points on the scoreboard. Every time you sleep the right amount of hours, which is like 7 or 8 for most people, you're picking up points on the scoreboard. Anytime that you meal prep, you're picking up points on the scoreboard. And again, here's where the war on carbs beats the fuck out of any diet out there. How much meal prep does it take to do intermittent fasting? 0. It takes 0. It costs you $0. It takes a lot of the equation out of the picture. Now, of course, we're going to eat later. But we're going to have a 6 or 8 hour window of eating, which is way different. It's way different. It's all laid out in the book. It's all laid out in the War on Carbs book. Those ketones are going to allow you to stay on the diet. The only way we're going to get any sort of progress or any sort of momentum going on any kind of diet is if we're on the diet for at least a little while. My suggestion and recommendation, as always, is do not go into a caloric deficit to start this diet. Do not go into a caloric deficit to start this diet. Get used to the food first. Do not start out with fasting. I know I just said how good fasting is. Do not start out with fasting. Do not start out with a caloric deficit. Get used to the food. Get used to the eggs. Get used to the cheese. Get used to the bacon. Get used to the steak. Making myself hungry talking about all that. Get used to all that stuff. Once you defat yourself, you're going to be able to allow yourself to have carbohydrates again at some other time and to live a somewhat normal life.
Can you go overboard on keto though, with the MCT oils?
Oh yeah. You know, you shouldn't have to go out of your way for fat. You shouldn't have to go like way out of your way for fat. And I wouldn't. The typical. What's prescribed for ketogenic style diets is always a little crazy, because they have the protein is kind of low, the fat's through the roof. You got to realize a lot of those studies are done on people that are sedentary. They don't really move around a whole lot. So if you're training and you're getting after it, you can keep the protein close to 1 gram per pound. It could even be slightly more. Not a huge deal. And then in terms of your fat, yeah, you don't need to have a fucking fat party with every meal that you have. You don't need to, lather on tons of butter and MCT. And if anything's iffy, it's iffy. And so if you are dumping MCT into your coffee and the next you're shitting it out, like that just doesn't make any sense. Let's try to be rational about it.
Yeah. Did you experience so a lot of people talk about the keto flu or this or that. I know you said you really didn't, but did you experience like a drop in performance right away in the beginning?
So keto flu, I think that's maybe misused or misinterpreted. I think my understanding of keto flu is that you won't get the keto flu until you produce a lot of ketones, and usually it's like you're months into a ketogenic diet and you're producing so many ketones it makes you kind of feel sick. I think what people are experiencing when they feel sick like that, I think it's probably something to do with their blood sugar going up or down too much from a workout or something like that. And I have experienced things like that before. And look, if you're in trouble, like, again, let's be logical. What can we do? Like if we get kind of cold sweats, but we're hot and we don't feel good, like something strange happened, does it really make sense to worry so much about your diet? I mean, right now we're worried about survival for a minute, right? Like we're worried about feeling a little bit better. So maybe you drink some orange juice. Maybe you drink fucking half a thing of Gatorade. Maybe you have a Snickers bar or something. Like, you don't need to go haywire with it and eat a whole pizza. But getting in some carbohydrates might be something that that might help you, or just getting a meal in. A meal would probably suffice as well. And in terms of drops of performance, yeah, like there's a lot of give and take. There's been a lot of times in the gym where, I felt like I was going to pass out. A lot of people would think, oh man, that doesn't make any sense. That's not acceptable. Well, when the goal is to lose weight and that's what you set out to do, and especially the way that I operate, I kind of do, I get all in. I like to really try to get all in and do any and everything I can to assure that I'm going to lose weight. So the way that I did it over the years and over the last about 6-8 months to lose 70 pounds or so, the way I attacked it was to train every day. I did some sort of training every single day. I'm almost at a full year now. And I gave up a little bit on the idea of like it's going to be intense training every day. It started out that way, and then I kind of switched it to, look, if you do some push-ups, you get in some 20-minute walks or some 20-minute walks, like you're good, So that's what I've been doing. That's how I was able to lose weight. Is I just try to train every day, try to just get to every body part, try to burn sugar, try to burn calories, try to just keep moving.
Gotcha. What are your thoughts on because people love cheat meals or if it fits your macros and whatnot. When it comes to like the ketogenic type cheat meals where they, whether it be a cheesecake or something, but it's like ketogenic, so
keto
friendly
cheesecake.
or whatever. And, it's like they're kind of trying to cheat the system a little bit.
Yeah, those things can be great because they can help keep you on your diet. But I think it's a healthy practice, and it's good to help, again, to try to build this willpower up, to try to build up this self-control. It's important that we have high standards for ourselves. So I would, in your mind, kind of consider that like a half cheat. It's not really on the plan. Like what's on the plan is steak, hamburgers, chicken, fish, cheese, eggs, things like that. And anything that's not that, anything that starts to get to be like a fathead pizza or any of these things, it's not really on the plan. And you're probably not going to have a lot of great progress if you do that every day. Same thing with alcohol. You can have alcohol. I had a couple of drinks last night. I would say that I probably drink once a week, and I probably have drank probably almost once a week since I started this journey. And the drinks that you have, like, does it matter? It's a very minor thing. Vodka does not have carbohydrates in it. Alcohol is a weird substrate, and it gets to be confusing. It can actually put you into ketosis a little deeper, but
but also like not taking in any carbs and not drinking every night, you probably drink way less and you feel it way more, right?
Yeah, exactly. And again, like we're not trying to strip people of fun. We're not trying to strip people of having a good time. It's what it's about is gaining self-control, gaining that willpower, having stronger habits, and living a stronger life, and sharing that with those that are around you, and being able to live a better life, and being able to also implement that into your family and implement that with your friends as well.
Thomas is asking about electrolytes on the ketogenic diet. How do you get them in?
Well,
they're important, I should say.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Electrolytes are definitely important. One thing to think about whenever you fast is that we're not taking in anything, so that fasting can definitely deplete your body. Something that, like, when somebody does a 24-hour fast or a 48-hour fast, which I don't really recommend much of that, but people do that kind of stuff. And the number one thing you got to worry about is your electrolytes, since you're not consuming any food. Spinach has potassium in it, so spinach can be useful. And then also I tend to salt a lot of my foods. I throw salt. I actually have salt, like, in the gym, and sometimes I'll just down it, and sometimes I just throw it in my water to give me a little bit, give me a little bit more salt. But most of those kind of things should probably help you quite a bit with electrolytes. They shouldn't need anything, too much different than that. If you're getting the right foods in and stuff, you should be okay. I believe avocados have some potassium in them as well, so you might want to look into chomping down on some of those. That should help solve some of your problems.
Is there anybody that the ketogenic diet or style diet doesn't work for?
I think it doesn't. The keto diet, it won't work well for people that don't like fat. I think one of the reasons why sometimes a ketogenic diet doesn't work great for chicks is because chicks tend to be, and this is a generalization, most of the girls that I know, they're very snacky, very snack oriented. Chicks tend to like to eat crunchy shit. And I think, I think that, do you agree or disagree?
I like soups.
Soups.
Soups and snacks.
Yes, yeah. So, well,
I
and
love snacks.
yeah, I think America's fat because of snacks. I think snacks are a huge. I think snacks are a huge problem. Snacks and desserts, I think, are a huge problem. People are so used to that. But I think that if we're gonna say, like, if it doesn't work for anybody in particular, it would mainly be people that are not going to commit to eating enough fat, because we need the fat to produce the ketones so that our brain is happy enough to keep us on the diet. You guys humping each other over there?
She's having fun with my chair. But yeah, for me, it's always the crunchy stuff. I mean, you've seen me devour buckets of fries. That's been the biggest thing that I'm missing with whether it be a vertical diet or a carnivore diet.
Yeah, and I think people need to understand that two things need to happen. Well, three things need to happen. Number one is fuck timing. Like, it doesn't matter anymore. What's for breakfast? What's healthy for you is what's for breakfast. Not pancakes, and not, like, it's just you don't need to eat on a schedule like that. Steak doesn't have to be for dinner, and a fucking bagel doesn't have to be for breakfast. You can eat whatever the fuck you want when you wake up.
Monster mash with an egg is delicious.
Yeah. So people need to lose that tradition of the way that the restaurants serve us. Leave that bullshit to them, and let's not worry about it. I mean, you could still wake up to an omelet if you wanted to, but I think that is a problem, because I think that most of the stuff that we wake up to is carbohydrate driven. There's bagels and muffins and croissants and donuts and just French toast and pancakes and cereal. I mean, it's just an onslaught of fucking carbohydrates, and so that can be problematic. Number two, I think snacks are a huge problem. Even just in talking to one of my in-laws the other day, she was like, talked about how bad soda is. She's like, I won't buy soda. She's like, that shit's the devil's work. She's like, well, I buy some of it for my son though, because he likes to have it.
Gosh.
And I was like, wow, I wish I had that recorded for my movie, because that's the way a lot of parents are thinking. But your kids should be eating somewhat similar to you as well.
Well, since it's on the topic, like, I don't get soda for Jasmine either. She'll try to sneak it in when she's with her grandparents or something. But what about like those sparkling waters, like the flavored? It says it has zero everything, but it's got sucralose or whatever.
Right.
I'm kind of doing like the good, better, best type of thing. I think it's delicious. I don't know if it's like good or bad for you at all.
The third thing I was going to say before I move on to that point was just like desserts. Desserts are not problematic by themselves. To have a dessert here and there is not a huge deal, but I think that people get used to having a large meal where they usually overeat. Overeating causes more overeating. No matter what you're eating, by the way, overeating causes more overeating. Overeating causes you to make bad decisions, even on a keto diet. Whenever you overeat, you're going to find some fucking sharp cravings. You're like, where the fuck is this coming from? You want Ben and Jerry's or a fucking pizza or whatever it is. But desserts can be really problematic, because I think that people get so used to trying to get their body back to homeostasis by having something salty for dinner, pizza, steak, whatever it might be, and then having something sweet. Our body kind of craves that, and if you do that a lot, it's a very powerful switch. So that can be a huge problem. When it comes to our children and sodas and all these different things, I think probably one of the greatest things we can teach kids is just that getting sugar from drinks is not a great thing. It's something that we should really, really try to work on limiting. Now, there's been some proof since 2012. There's been a nice drop in the amount of carbohydrates that have well, I'm sorry, the amount of sugar that adults have been consuming. But again, if we go back to what I said in the beginning of this podcast, all carbohydrates, once they're inside the body, turn to sugar, and your body's going to react differently to the different ones that you take in and everything. But ultimately, our children in the United States right now have a huge, huge problem with sugar. All the Capri Suns, all the little fucking fruit snacks, and all this. I mean, man, they got you by the balls too, because they try to make it look like there's special vitamins in it and stuff, and you're not thinking, you're just great, because we live in a fast world. You're just grabbing stuff. You're not thinking, oh, this has calcium in it. Oh, this is cool, and this is low fat, and
It's got vitamin C. It's got to be good.
Yeah, and you're not thinking, and really the truth is, whole milk would be great. Some cheese sticks would be a good idea. Even some old school stuff is still acceptable. A peanut butter and jelly sandwich, some of those things, like, they're not that, even just a sandwich that has protein, carbs, and fat. Mm-hmm. It's not that bad. You just have to, you just can't lather it with 10 pounds of mayonnaise and stuff like that,
Well, wouldn't regular mayonnaise be better than like the what is
Yeah,
it,
I don't know when it
Miracle
comes to stuff like that. Pick your poison. I guess you probably shouldn't be using any condiments. I mean, that's like, what it boils down to. You look at, you don't want to be as strict as like a pro bodybuilder, but we should really try to remove a lot of condiments from our diet, because those things are just adding unnecessary calories to our diet too. And that's why the other day, a lot of people were laughing because I said that salad is fake news.
Yeah.
People were like, what does that even mean? And what I meant by it was like, it's something that's supposed to be healthy for you, but what do? We drown it in a bunch of fat that's not good for our body, and that's proven more and more every day that it's worse and worse for us than we even anticipated.
Yeah.
So, you got to be careful with what you're eating. If it's here and there and it helps you stay on your diet, then I don't think it's a huge deal. Like last night, again, using that as an example, I had some wings. Our wings aren't good for you. Like, they're fucking fried. And me dipping them in ranch dressing is not good for you. But it does help me stay in my lane, and it helps me stay on my diet. So there's going to be these like little loopholes here and there, like maybe pepperoni's not the best thing in the world. Maybe eating 5 or 6 slices of bacon is not the best thing. I mean, bacon's been kind of demonized, and we've learned more about it and stuff, but like, a lot of these things in excess are not going to be good.
Yeah. So whether it be, I don't know, overeating, sweets, whatever, what is the biggest hurdle, or what's the most difficult thing for Mark Bell to not get past? What do you struggle with right now, or just in general? Like, what's the one thing where you're like, fuck, dude, like that would be awesome to just go do that, like go eat that or go drink that.
I've done a pretty good job of building up a lot of self-control. At the end of the day, I have like for me, when it comes to food, there's really not anything that's like got me caught up, where I'm going to not eat what I want to, or not eat, or go off the diet really. I do sometimes eat like protein bars. I like Perfect Food bars. I like Kai's bars, and like that's like my cheat, and it's got like 25 grams of carbs in it. They have like peanut butter chocolate chip ones and almond chocolate chip ones, and I like that stuff quite a bit. But I'm not really gonna go and dive in for a pizza, and the reason is that it really has to be on my own terms. It has to be something that I really want to do, and I try not to ever celebrate, I try not to ever, I heard a good quote the other day, and I think this is amazing. What you're trying to do is you're trying to train, I think it's important practice for everybody, train your mind to never be too excited in pleasure, and train your mind to never be too depressed in pain. It's just that simple, just when something hurts or something is like pulling on you, like don't ever let that fucking drag you down too much. And when something is making you happy, don't ever let that override everything else that you're doing, because there are ups and downs to life. And The reason why I don't get like super loud or get all crazy or get real animated is because I just, live my life one day at a time. When I've seen a lot of great things happen. I've seen a lot of horrific things happen, and I never really, never really overreact to any of them. When I got news that my brother died, I cried, but it's not like I screamed and ran out of the house. Like, what am I gonna do with my life? It just doesn't. You're gonna just have whatever emotion you have. I think that's fine to live. Live whatever way you want to live. But like just overreacting to stuff is not my thing. So I try not to get too swayed by any one thing.
And when did you recognize that? Was it, when your brother passed, or was it before that?
Everything has always been built through lifting. Everything's always been built through lifting. So anything that I have, even still today, that's worth anything is from, training, from being in the gym. 10 sets of 10, inch on the arms in one day, 100 rep sets, Indianapolis 500 on the leg press, 50s parties, like just crazy shit. 50s party is, doing 50 reps of anything. Indianapolis 500 is staying on the leg press until you completed 500 reps. I've done all kinds of different things that make you dig deep. They make you push hard, and they make you work hard, and any of those things. All those things have helped me to build willpower over the years, but also I think people think things just happen, or you're just a certain way. Like, oh, that's Mark, or that's that guy. You look at like Nsima, and you're like, oh man, he's just jacked. Like that's just Nsima. But there is a body of work that's behind that. Ryan Spencer is incredibly strong. He's in good shape, and it's not because he's in here training every day. He's in here working for it all the time. And so I've always been somebody who hasn't been afraid to do the work, to put in the work, and to realize that that's where it's at, and there's really no other tricks to it.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool when we had Margot Alvarez in, and she's
hey now,
yeah, she's jacked, she's beautiful, and she's like, hey, I'd get compliments from other chicks like, oh, you're so big, you're so strong, like you look amazing, but like I want to be big and strong, but I just don't want to be as big and strong as you. And she's like, well, good luck. Like this didn't happen like overnight. So again, putting in the work.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people just. A lot of girls a lot of times think, oh man, if I train, maybe I'll end up looking like that. But she has a very, very advanced skill set with her CrossFit, and then also just a very advanced physique. I mean, she looks great.
Yeah, I did some bicep curls, and I thought I'd look like Smokey, but it didn't work out.
It's been pretty cool to see, over the years, the team and everybody else, like the whole staff is, almost whole staff, trying to be mindful of what they're eating. And I think that's really cool. And I think that's the message that I'm trying to share with everybody is like, you can get the war on carbs and you can go for it. And as I always tell people, it's the easiest diet to follow. It's the easiest way to lose weight. It's the best way to lose weight because it has the one ingredient that most diets are missing, which is self-control. It's going to help you overcome that because when you're in a ketogenic state, your body runs off of fat and you're going to kill some of those cravings. I'm not saying they're going to disappear forever. But they're easier to manage when you have savory foods in your diet, such as omelets and bacon and cheese and steaks and hamburgers and all these things. It's easier to kind of starve off some of that stuff. And with the introduction of intermittent fasting, the two things end up working really well.
Gotcha. So right now, are you doing a strict ketogenic diet style?
Yeah. So right now, I've because I got down to 230 pounds. Mm-hmm. I've introduced a little bit of carbohydrates, and I'm trying to manage that. Like I ain't gonna lie, that's hard. Like second I put them in, I'm like, oh, I can have carbs. Time to get bigger. Mm-hmm. And even though it doesn't make any sense, like my idea of getting bigger is like eat pizza, and that's not good for me, and it's not really gonna produce the result that I'm thinking in my head. But I'm just thinking, bulk party, trying to time to get big, time to get swole, and that's the way that I'll kind of look at it. So I need to just limit the amount of carbohydrates that I have, and I think I think just again people just being mindful of what it is they're doing, I think, is like the number one thing. They need to be mindful of what they're doing. They need to be in control and spend less time spinning out of control, because you can end up out of control really quick on any of these diets. And I think when it comes to a lot of the diets that allow carbohydrates, bodybuilding style diets, anything else other than a ketogenic diet, I guess, it gets to be very easy to overeat. Now, sometimes that's the goal. Sometimes the goal is to be bigger and to be stronger. Sometimes and again, it also makes sense to shift gears. It doesn't make sense to be on the same style of diet forever. I think there's too many people walking around in a caloric deficit for long periods of time. And that doesn't make any sense at all. It makes sense to switch things up. We had Nsima on the show a few days ago, and when we had him on, he talked about how he dieted for like 48 weeks or something like that, or 30-something weeks, right?
And read books and stuff.
But he said that his diet calories went down, right? But they didn't go down the whole time. He said he came back up. Mm-hmm. And I was actually surprised to hear him say, oh, yeah, like for 2-3 weeks, calories came back up. Mm-hmm. It's like, holy shit, for 2 or 3 weeks, you'd think that'd be detrimental, but that's actually a positive. So you shouldn't be on the same diet forever. And you shouldn't be, unless there's a medical reason for it, shouldn't be on the same diet forever. And you shouldn't be like dieting all the time. You shouldn't be trying to like lose weight all the time, even if you're somebody that's heavy. And again, you don't want to spin out of control, but you might need a 2 or 3 day break from your diet, and you got to be very cautious of how you go into that, and you got to be very mindful of how you go into that. But I think it would be important that you. That you're just not always trying to consume less food.
Yeah. And I know it's going to vary between person to person, but do you like have a recommendation on like how long someone should stay on this diet and then kind of take a break, or maybe switch it up like a couple months or something like that?
I would say whenever you well, I was going to say whenever you hit a hurdle, but that's not great, because sometimes you hit a hurdle quick, mm-hmm. and you need to stay the course for a while. So I would say, when it comes to something like the war on carbs, once you've lost a significant amount of weight, then you could start to move into a different style of diet. But even on the war on carbs, if you in the book, it's not just all about not eating carbs, because there's another diet in there called the PED diet, which is a performance enhancing diet, which allows you to eat rice and some fruits, and it's very similar to some of the stuff that Stan says. And the reason it's similar to some of the stuff that Stan says, because he's had a huge influence on us here, and I stole all his ideas and threw them in my book before I published it.
Just don't let him know.
Yeah. And you can also check out Stan's diet. I think that would make a lot of sense, actually, to go back and forth between the two, because the vertical diet, when it comes to having a little bit more options in your diet, some of you that have struggled before, some of you have been heavy before, you may find that even with those healthy foods in there, you tend to overeat. Whereas a lot of times with a carnivore diet or the war on carbs, your options are pretty limited, and over time, again, with the use of intermittent fasting, you're teaching yourself to eat less, and most diets don't actually teach you how to do that. They want you to do that, but they don't ever teach you how to do it. And you have a lot of these foods that still cause these sharp cravings, and we end up rifling through our pantry in the middle of the night, eating Pop-Tarts and brownies and whatever else we got in there. But if you eat it in the pantry with the door closed, and it's cookies or whatever it is, then it doesn't count. As long as no one saw it,
right,
you're good. No one recorded it.
Dude, that's such a good loophole.
Oh, it's great. But so when you throw out the wrappers, make sure that you throw other stuff on top so no one really sees the fresh wrappers in the morning, because then it does count.
Mm-hmm. What if you're coming home from the gym, you skip the house, go to Parlor Ice Cream, eat it before you walk into the house? Does that count?
I think that it'd be hard to not...
Asking for a friend sitting next to me.
I think it would be hard to not say something, because you want to celebrate it. You want to celebrate that you had that magnificent ice cream sandwich.
Yeah. But
our boy Smokey has like an addiction to Parlor ice cream. They got ice cream sandwiches.
Yeah. It's like, how is it? It's ice cream.
Come over here, Smokey. Show us what you're eating and stuff. Does that microphone work?
It is now.
Yep. Smokey's on the podcast.
Who was over here?
Oh my God. A gorilla?
Why
Jesus.
Why is it so tall?
You and Ensima are so much alike.
Dang. Does that work?
It works. Throw the headphones on, please.
Holy crap.
Oh my God. What do you got here food wise, Smoke?
I got some monster mash, some poor man's monster mash. It's not bison, it's beef.
The monster mash. Is the beef, is it kind of like moderate fat? Is it 90, 85?
Yeah, it's 8812, and I prefer to grill my meat instead of pan it. So what I do is I make patties with taco seasoning, as if I was panning it, and just make patties on the grill and then
That's
toss
probably
it in.
good. They are kind of better on the grill.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. You get to see all the fat, whether you drain it or not. I don't know. I understand like ground beef in a pan is fine, but for some reason I just prefer to grill it.
Well, the fat, I mean, it probably has less fat in it because it's like not sitting in a big old pile of fat. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting Stan whenever you're going to introduce some carbs is important for people to know too. Is like you do want to be a little conscious of how much fat is in everything.
Yeah.
I think bison's a little bit leaner.
So, our boy DJ Webb and I, we talk a lot about nutrition. We both weigh about the same, so we always like keep each other posted on our weight.
These guys like looking good.
Yeah, we send a lot of
for
pics.
each
we
other.
send a lot of pics to each other. But yeah, I was like looking through my fat, and I was like, man, I'm eating like 100 and something grams of fat with cheese and some beef. So today I'm hitting up Costco, and I'm gonna look at the bison, try to see if I have a few extra bucks.
You're gonna so like you think 100 grams of fat is what, too much?
I think a little too much for me. I mean, my carbs are in the 200 to 300 range, not even 300, and proteins are out my body weight, so about 180.
Yeah.
100 grams of fat is too excessive, I think.
I know there's a lot of diets out there where, like, if it fits your macros and flexible dieting, I know that they move it around depending on the person or whatever, but, like, I'll hear some guys tell me, like, they eat, like, 40 or 50 grams of fat.
Yeah, before I went on keto to lose my original weight, I kept my fat probably around 50. I was eating a lot of lean meat and lean chicken and stuff. But I caught you kind of the tail end. But for me to lose weight, for me to lose the final weight, to lose 20 pounds, I had to go on keto because I'm not good at counting my food. Like if like I can overeat on this, right? Like it's rice and beef and it's delicious, but like I can easily go to 2 cups of rice. Yeah. And that wouldn't be as, for purposes of losing weight, it doesn't serve me a good.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge plus for a ketogenic diet. It's not like you don't have to account for the calories because you do. Calories, they always factor in. Yeah. But through the usage of some intermittent fasting and through the usage of a keto diet, you don't really have to. You're not stuck. You're not stuck just sitting there fucking writing down all your foods and stuff. Do you track some of your stuff now a little bit?
I had for the last week or so. I have just to kind of give me a guideline of what I'm eating, just so I kind of have it's like, okay, well, I'm eating 20 ounces of beef. Like what is? I don't even know what that. How much fat, how much protein is that? I don't even know. So just trying to figure out the simple math and just gauge from there. But I use the scale. I literally weigh myself every single day for the last 3 years. And I put in my phone, and that's kind of how I gauge, like, scale went up and I want it to go up, or the scale went down, I want it to go down. So,
yeah, that's what I've been doing forever, and I think that makes sense. Do you want to gain weight? You want to lose weight? You want to stay the same? Yeah. Just weigh yourself every day.
Do I want to get stronger and add a couple pounds? Or I mean, of course, we all want to get jacked and get stronger, but it's not so easy.
What's your goal right now?
So my goal right now, I was 182 this morning. I want to stay. My goal is actually to go up to maybe 184, 185 this month, and then maybe add a pound every month. For me, obviously, weight it won't be as simple as just 1 pound, but my goal will just be to stay under 185, and then maybe next month stay under 186. Right. I feel if I add a couple extra body weight pounds, that my bench press will also help, my lifts will help. But last time I did a bulk, it was rather dirty, as they say, and
dirty bulk.
I plumped up to 198, 197 pretty quick, and felt like shit, looked like shit.
I miss that guy.
I miss,
He wasn't as grumpy.
Inside, I was dying. Like I hated it. Well, I hated when you took pictures because I looked very.
Yeah, I do remember that.
You get pretty hungry, right?
I love to eat. Like I love food.
On a keto diet, was it any different, or were you just fucking starving just because you're just always, you kind of have a hungry?
So the first 2 weeks, I was super apprehensive about quote unquote keto flu. I was told, you're gonna get sick, to be prepared for that, and I didn't get it. But at the same time, I didn't lose weight the first 2 weeks because I was probably overeating. You know, I was eating, I don't know, I didn't count my calories, but I was
I encourage people to do that because I don't want them to get I don't want them to feel run down.
I think it would have discouraged me.
Yeah.
Oh, I forget this. Why am I getting sick? I'm done. So I didn't count calories. I just, again, the scale. So after 2 weeks and I was in ketosis, I just was like, all right, well, the scale's not moving. So clearly either my work capacity is not enough or my food is too much. So increased my work, started doing a little bit of HIIT training, lessened a little bit of food. And just slowly by surely, or I don't know, however that saying goes, surely.
Slowly but surely.
Surely you can't be serious.
I was about to say airplane.
Yeah, I'm serious. Stop calling me Shirley.
So then the scale went down, and sure enough, 177.
Oh my God.
Jacked.
What'd you do today, lifting wise?
I was jacked. I worked out for 4.5 hours today.
I know. I love doing that.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna be here tomorrow. I'm going snowboarding. Last day on the slopes for the season. So I had to hit yesterday's or tomorrow's bench session too. So I did sets of 8 on squats, then pause squats, then speed bench, then some lower body accessories, then some back, then a lot of arms, obviously.
You did it all.
I did it all. Luckily, I was able to pull Asian John in with me for some arms. That's like my favorite thing, to pull people into the accessories.
You feeling pretty strong right now, or how's your strength?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. I definitely am not at my strongest, but I hope, or my plan is November, do a meet with the team, and hopefully by then my strength will be, as maximal as possible.
Right. And again, I think it's important for people to understand, like you're not going to keep your strength, all the time. I mean, you went through a bicep tear, and during the bicep tear, you lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And now you're in a good position to where you can refocus. It's a good time for you to refocus on your strength. Same with myself. People saw me do like the 515 bench in the or 500-pound bench, whatever it was, in the bench shirt.
Yeah.
And people are like, "What the hell is that? Like, didn't you do 500?
Yeah.
You used to rep it or whatever." It's like that wasn't that long ago. I think people don't understand that even during my powerlifting career, even when I was my strongest, my strength would come and go drastically.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be, and part of that is because of performance enhancing drugs, because most people, including myself, you would take a good amount of them as the contest came closer.
Get stronger. You
would get stronger that way. And also, too, there would be like all kinds of refinements we would make. We would like buckle down, making our gear tighter or stronger. We'd overload a certain way. And that's back when we were lifting in powerlifting gear. So it very dramatic changes. I could squat 1100 one day, and 3 weeks later struggle with the 600-pound squat raw, which is a 500-pound difference.
Yeah, it's huge. Well, and the difference is too, for the last 6-8 weeks we've been doing 10s and 8s and 5. Like, you're not always going for a single.
Right.
So it's that's a handful of times a year.
Yeah, and you're still having fun. You're still challenging. You're trying to challenge yourself. And I think it's. People just they want to be as strong as possible all the time.
Yeah,
and they're just
look as best as possible, which is a hard combo.
Right. So again, as I said earlier, they're in a caloric deficit, training a little too hard. Just you gotta be a little careful with that. You gotta just switch things up here and there, and you're gonna have to let some things go as you pursue something else.
Yep, and that's why Marcus pulled me aside, said, "Look, you're 182 pounds. Are you okay gaining 5 pounds over the next 3 months, 4 months?"
Yeah, and 5 pounds is a good percentage of your overall body weight. So it should make a little difference, or just relax your brain a little bit too.
As long as I do it slow, because the fat me can add 5 pounds real quick.
Oh no, then you're 190.
Then I'm 190, and then I'm like, well, I'm almost 198. I can't be in the middle. Then I go 198, and it's a slippery slope.
Any more questions over there?
Yeah, from Jake Morgan. He's already a pretty strong power lifter. I don't have any proof of that, but according to him, and he was just wondering, should he look into getting a coach for some more guidance?
Yeah, if he feels stuck, of course. Yeah. I think that, I think the number one thing that most people can do that are young, that haven't been exposed to the sport that much, I think the number one thing they could do is go to a powerlifting meet. Number two thing they could do is go to a powerlifting seminar. Go to a powerlifting meet or go to a powerlifting seminar. If there's not that...
Free one, April 22nd, Super Gym.
Yeah.
So when you say go to a powerlifting meet, do you mean to just compete or just actually just attend?
I think just going. I think it's probably too intimidating just to compete out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But just go. And a lot of times you'll run into people, and sure enough, somebody will say, "Oh yeah, I want a gym over here." If you're going to go, you're going to have to be at least a little bit proactive. You're going to have to talk to some people.
Yeah.
And maybe you say, "Hey, where'd you get those strong knee sleeves?" And
Yeah.
strike up a conversation. But you need to be a little proactive. You need to find out more about the sport. And that's where you're going to find a good coach. You can find coaches online, and there's people that can send you some programming, and there's people that can help you. But I think your best bet is if you can have person-to-person interaction, I think that'll be the ultimate. So go to a powerlifting meet, and you're going to run into some different coaches. You're going to run into people that know where there's some local power. I hear people all the time like, "I live in Wyoming. They don't do this shit there."
Yeah, it's everywhere.
I live where it's like, no, powerlifting's all over the place.
And a lot of people are in groups. So, I mean, I understand. I agree. I think training with someone that either knows a little bit more than you is critical, but the team, you add a team environment into it, and you and 5 or 10 or 20 other people are doing the same thing. Holy crap. A lot can change.
Yeah, I mean, here at Super Training, you can just pick. You can just pick who you're going to work out with.
Yeah.
We kind of have some groups and stuff, but not, it changes here and there. There's different dynamics to it. And I got the luxury of coming in and being like, I'm going to jump in with these guys because that's going to make me work a lot harder.
Or kick us off a bench.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sometimes. I'm not really strong enough to do that yet right now. I'm not really strong enough to do that right now.
Yeah, but you have the authority to.
That's true.
Yeah.
Can I work out with you? No. They just look at me like...
I'll try that one next time. I'll look you straight in the face. No.
They just look at me kind of weird, like,
bench taken.
"Oh my God,
bench
is he serious?"
Bench is taken. Yeah, I got no questions over here for you.
You got nothing.
Nothing. No, everyone's just being quiet listening to you. But
They're all sleeping in.
yeah. I don't know, you got a busy weekend coming up though, right? Or a couple days?
Yeah, I'm fired up, man. I'm really excited about going down to Los Angeles. Great opportunity to be on Joe Rogan's show again. Getting on Dr. Drew's show. That'll be really cool. That's tomorrow. And then Joe Rogan is Monday at like 10:30, I think he said. But I don't really know how it's going to work. I don't know if he wants to lift or whatever because it's at his new place.
That'd be sick. He's got a cool facility. I think.
Oh, yeah, it looks
decked
great.
them out and looks awesome.
He's got a good facility, and then he also has cool shit there. He's got some hunting game or something that looks pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, we
It's
gotta
like
get some film of you trying to do a bow. That'd be great.
Oh my God, that's gonna hurt my shoulder
Slap your wrist.
so.
I think the string is gonna catch your wrist. That's what I think. It's slide. If you don't hold it right, it's gonna catch your
And it
shoulder.
hurts like a motherfucker.
Well, don't try to get him to, don't talk him out of it.
No, that will talk him into it. He loves pain.
But it hurts. It hurts your shoulder, right? Because you got to get your arm.
First off, everything hurt. Everything.
Yeah, you
hurts
got to
the
get your
shoulder.
arm way up high, right?
Yeah.
Fuck.
I'm not an expert.
That's gonna suck.
You can practice with Casey in the
Yeah,
warehouse
warehouse
first.
guys loves hunting. He can help you out.
See the here now. I need to practice like today.
We can go in his office. I can get the combination that's safe.
Yeah, we all don't know what we're doing, but yeah, we should practice right now.
I'm down.
Oh my God. So anyway, yeah, that'll be a lot of fun, and then get to see my brother, get to hang out with him a little bit. I don't know what else we have going on down there.
George Lockhart coming in a couple days.
Yep. Yeah, George Lockhart, UFC guy, the guy that worked with Conor McGregor. How about Conor McGregor blowing up?
No.
You see that?
Yeah.
That card was doomed, though. I mean, so they're on their third replacement for the main event. Because so was Ferguson. He got hurt, something like his knee blew out or something. So they brought in Max Holloway, and then I can't remember why, but he just backed out like a couple days ago.
Really?
Yeah. So they got in Al LaQuinta to come in, but then McGregor flew all the way from Ireland to throw fucking chairs at a bus from some dude talking shit or something.
And then turn himself in.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
Warrant for his arrest.
what the hell? Like, yeah, it's so fucking crazy.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, if there's some mental health problems going on.
You know what problem is? Carbs.
He's got too many carbs.
Too many carbs.
Yeah, but it'll be cool to talk
That's
to
what carbs make you do.
George Lockhart because he was the one that was prepping
For Mayweather, yeah.
yeah, but also this fight, for Max Holloway to cut weight, in time. So I mean, we'll get some more answers from what happened, but he'll be cool to talk to.
Yeah, I think with Conor McGregor, I mean, he's out of the limelight a little bit. I mean, I know people are obsessed with him, but he's not fighting at the moment. He's got extra energy. What the hell's the guy?
Yeah, it's been over 500 days since his last fight.
Yeah.
That was when Mayweather was?
No, he fought. He fought.
In
But I'm
UFC.
saying UFC.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
When was May? It was like summer, right?
Oh man, I can't
Summer,
remember.
fall.
Yeah.
5 months.
I
5
thought
months
you
ago.
said I thought you were alluding to that. I'm like, wow,
No.
time has flown by.
Yeah, but I mean, previous to that though, like to win the
He's been in the
title,
octagon.
yeah,
Got it.
But he's still a title holder, and he hasn't fought. You know, it's like, dude,
I wouldn't
come
be
on.
surprised if the
Fight
guy's
someone.
got like some depression going on or something. And maybe it's from getting hit in the head. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think to be a fighter, you got to be a little.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot out of your mind.
Because what he did, I mean, was so irrational. You know, like to get like sparked up and to punch somebody is one thing.
Yeah.
He ran, grabbed the thing, and he like threw more shit.
He
like he
flew
was
across
really.
the world to do it. Like you think in that flight from Ireland to the States, like he would have been like, maybe I'll just
Should
talk
I?
shit.
Should I
like, no.
not?
Yeah, was that like a whole like that was the only reason why he went?
So apparently, I mean, I don't know the names, but
He's not part of the like he's not really part of.
No. So one of the guys that was on the bus, so it was a bus full of like when you go to these fights, they have like the red corner bus and then the blue corner bus. So
Got
it
it.
was all blue corner. And one of the guys that was on that bus kind of cornered one of McGregor's homies. And basically, like, you know, they were going to jump and whatever. I don't know. They were just talking shit. So he got all pissed off. He flew all the way over here to try to find him. He was in that bus. So he's throwing hand trucks at the bus, and he fucked up a lot of people. Like, there's like, I mean, and of course, naturally, like a bunch of the fighters like, oh, I can't fight now. And like, but then they're like, no, I'm just kidding. I'm going to fight. But the doctors are like, no, actually, you're pretty fucked up. So yeah, he's going to be sued by multiple people. It's going to be, yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah, it does suck because, dude, I mean, I want to see him fight, and now he's like fighting the legal system. Like,
Yeah, I wonder what the Vegas odds are on that.
hey, that'd be
What
fun.
a goddamn mess.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're out.
Yeah.
Strength is never weakness. Weakness never strength. See you guys later.
Peace.
Bye bye.
Thanks, Smoke.
Yeah, no problem.